Hi everyone, this is Taz91 here. It's been a while since I've posted on this channel. I haven't uploaded in quite some time, but I'm back today with this upload as I feel like it's a topic that I think is really worth talking about because it's quite a big thing. So, big enough that I think warrants me to come back, post on this channel and talk about it. So, on Monster Jam's YouTube channel last week, there was an Inside Monster Jam episode with Scott Jordan, and he did an interview with the Director of Operations at Monster Jam, Andrew Poloshko. And at the end of the episode, where they answer questions from the fans, they actually ended up talking about the archives, the sacred video vault that's inside Monster Jam's headquarters, that's full of all these untelevised events. The question came up about whether or not we, the fans, would actually get to see some of these episodes. And per Andrew's own words, he said that there is a really high chance that they will put out some of these episodes, these untelevised episodes that we have not seen in complete form. Now, Andrew discussed the vault, about how there's thousands of tapes in there that are stacked all the way up to the ceiling, organised all chronologically, and they are all safe. And he himself would like to see some of these events, and Scott actually agreed with him and said that he would very much like to see these events too. So Andrew said that he's actually committed to digitalising a lot of these tapes, even though some of them are, very old, and they don't have an actual player to play them, but it's something that he's actually willing to do. And he said that there's a good chance that fans might actually get to see some of these shows. And both of them ended by saying if fans really want to see these, to just let them know. So obviously on the YouTube video there was loads of comments saying that they want to see these archives, these untelevised events to get released in any way, shape or form, whether they're edited or they are the master tapes. So obviously I saw this video, and in order to try and spread the word a bit further, I decided to make a Facebook post on one of the Facebook groups, just putting the word out more so more people can know about this. So I'll put the Facebook post up on screen now. That's what I posted. And in a completely unexpected and surprising moment, Scott Jordan himself actually saw the post and he left a comment, and as you can see right up on the screen now, there is Scott himself, and he even says, "We are working on it." So obviously Scott himself has said something regarding this video vault following on from the podcast episode that they did. Now, this is absolutely massive because this is the very first time, I believe, that Monster Jam personalities have ever acknowledged untelevised events, the video vault. It's the very first time they've talked about this. To my knowledge, we've never seen anybody speak about it online, speak about it on camera. And then obviously these past few weeks, personalities have come out and spoken about it. And for Scott himself to actually see that Facebook post that I made and to even follow up and say that they're working on something, I think this is absolutely huge because this video vault is something that people have been talking about for a long time, in Facebook groups, on Discord, on YouTube videos, about how much people want to see untelevised events from almost the 30 plus year history of Monster Jam. And that's something that Andrew even talked about, how he believes that releasing these events would be beneficial for the Monster Jam brand, as it is basically a documentation of the league's entire history, spanning from the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and obviously the 2020s that we are currently in. So, untelevised events have, been something that Monster Jam fans have been clamouring for quite a long time. We obviously got quite a lot of these in the Around the USHRA segments on the speed episodes of Monster Jam, giving us a little teaser of, other events that were happening at the time. And obviously, some of these shows have seen releases on DVDs, like the Crash Madness series, Control Chaos, things like that. So they have released clips in the past, but they've never actually released anything fully. But obviously, having these clips showed that they did have recordings of them. And as we know, with Andrew's comments the other day, they actually still have them in the vaults. So once again, this is a huge deal. Now, this obviously ties into the famous European episodes, a topic that I led 3 years ago, and it also relates to the email from FELD that I got 4 years ago in 2021 about how it was something they discussed internally. But obviously nothing ever came of that. And sort of looking back at that email, I feel like, I don't know, maybe somebody didn't actually look at that email themselves and it was just like a generic company response. But obviously at the time we thought something was brewing, but obviously something never did. And then we ended up finding those European episodes, which consisted of many untelevised events from Monster Jam's catalogue, ones that weren't released on TV in the United States, that we ended up getting over here. Now, the European episodes obviously got released on a Daily Motion channel that I made all the way in August of 2022. We ended up getting those ones, and we also ended up getting the gym episodes not long after, which were also posted to that channel. This video vault topic, I'm not sure if in the vaults are the actual European episodes, but I believe there is actually something much better in the archives. The master tapes of those shows, which would mean basically the entire events. So basically all of racing, all of freestyle, all the interviews, and things that were actually cut from the European episodes. There was quite a lot that got cut out of Euro episodes, and some of the editing, even as a big fan of those episodes, wasn't always the best. These master tapes that are in the archives will obviously contain the entire events, including racing, which we never actually got to see in the Euro episodes except for the final rounds. Obviously, seeing racing and all the freestyle, including some of the runs that were cut out, would obviously be, great to see. So, this kind of leads to the question about what footage I personally would want to see if any of these shows ever got released. So, Indianapolis 2006 is one that I would really like to see. Just because that show just looked absolutely crazy. From the clips that we saw, racing was just madness, and freestyle also looked absolutely just chaotic. It just looked like an absolutely crazy show, and so to be able to see that event would be absolutely incredible. Miami 2007 is another show that I think I'd really like to see, because that was actually the final show for Paul Schaefer Motorsports. Barefoot, Monster Patrol and Wild Thang were at that show. It was the final time that that team would appear in Monster Jam, so seeing that show would be great for history purposes. And also I want to see a lot of the European shows, like Cardiff 2007. We obviously got the European episode, the partial episode that we have. We still don't have the full one, but seeing the entire master tape of that event, which would include all of the racing and all the runs in the correct order, again, that would be something I'd be absolutely thrilled to see. And also, some of the European shows from 2006, because on the Monster blog, there was a post from Andrew himself. Andrew was actually at some of the shows, including Antwerp 2006. Obviously, he knows about that show, and seeing that event, of course, obviously Antwerp was another show that got broadcast on the Gym channel, but we still don't have that episode. So, to close this brief video talking about this topic, the question is this actually going to happen? Are we actually going to see untelevised events from Monster Jam from all eras? I know some people probably have their doubts about this, and I obviously ended up having doubts after Phil did not follow up on that email, and since then there wasn't really any developments. But now that we have actual personalities talking about this, and with Andrew's own optimism about getting these shows out there, his commitment to digitalising the shows, Scott Jordan also saying that he would like to see these shows, and then Scott himself acknowledging the fanfare from the many Monster Jam fans about getting these shows out, him saying that there is something happening. To see this from, again, the actual people at Monster Jam is absolutely massive. I really do think that they are brewing something behind the scenes, because they sounded very confident for them to actually see all this support from fans and even drivers themselves who actually want to see these events. Again, I believe that doing this would be a huge benefit to Monster Jam, whether or not they put them out on a separate channel, a vault channel like the WWE's done. Top Gear's also done it as well. Or if they would put the shows on the pre-existing membership. It would obviously mean you'd have to pay for them, but I think it would, it'd be worth it, because, we're supporting the work that they've put in to, digitalise all these shows, and, the thousands of shows that they've got to go through. It's not going to be an easy task, and they're going to put in a lot of hard work, so I feel like they should be rewarded for their efforts. I personally am in a much more confident mood about this than I was, say, maybe 4 years ago. Just based on the fact that we've finally have acknowledgement from the people themselves about this. And I just think now that they've seen the support from all the people, they're sort of going to have to do it, really. I don't think they can really backtrack and not do anything. I just think they're going to have to do something at this point. I am willing to believe Scott's comments about that they're working on something. So I'm not sure how it's going to be done, if they will just release the shows completely unedited, just the complete raw footage from the master tapes, which would include basically the entire time the cameras were rolling, or if they'll cut it up and edit it, much like how they did for the Pontiac Silverdome DVD, with Pontiac 2003, Pontiac 2005, where they got the shows and then just cut out the unnecessary bits, kept all the action, keeping the live commentary, which I think would be absolutely great to, hear Scott Douglas and Joe Lowe and Ken Stout, Darren Palin, Scott Rain and Fernando Rubio. Just hearing all their commentary over the real-time events would be incredible. And they have released untelevised events quite recently on their YouTube channel, in unlisted videos for the anniversary. They actually had posts that linked to unedited footage from El Paso 2005 with Maximum Destruction, and then San Francisco 2007 with an Escalade. I'm also willing to believe that some shows have already been done, if they were able to get that footage out there. I'm willing to believe that they've already got quite a bit of work done and they're just working on doing more. I really think that something is happening behind the scenes, and we are actually going to hear something about it. And many other Monster Jam fans would just be absolutely ecstatic if we were to finally see these shows after, some of them, as Andrew said, some of the tapes haven't been played since the days they were, taken out of the recording systems at the venues. So, it's a goldmine of footage that they're sitting on. They should just put it out there, for everyone. For, all the fans, all the drivers, all the people that have worked on Monster Jam over the years, the commentators, officials, crew members, track crews. It'd be a fantastic tribute to honour all of those people. Obviously some of them have since retired, some of them have since passed on, so to preserve all this footage and have it all out there for everyone to enjoy, I think would be absolutely incredible. So that's pretty much all I've got to say about this. Whether or not I'll come back with another video, I'll have to see. But if this topic does get, more development, I think I will, come back and talk about it. I could be back in a week, I could be back in 2 months, who knows. But if anything comes out about the untelevised events in the archives of Monster Jam, I'm going to be back talking about it. So I hope you all enjoyed this brief return. I've been Taz91. Get those untelevised events out there, Monster Jam, because it'd be an absolute huge, probably the biggest thing that would ever happen in this community.